Well, hey, we're talking about the Christian walk. This is Greg Steinke, the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church, and welcome to our devotions from Calvary. And we've been doing this now for almost 2 months or so, and I believe that many have just been blessed by them, and I'm so grateful to God for that. I enjoy it. I look forward every morning to come here. Again, it's I'm running a little late today. But I look forward to coming here every day, every morning, and getting online and recording these and editing them, and then trying to get them out before lunchtime so you have some time for devotions throughout the day. And run a little late today. I went to hang up my coat behind my door, and my hook fell off, and so I had to fix that real quick. But those things happen, right? Hey, we're talking about the Christian walk and the importance of it. And there's some things that we had pointed out that we need to take a look at as we walk with the Lord. Keep in mind that the Christian walk, first of all, is a position. All right? Our position is to allow God to lead us. Our position is really behind Him, following Him. And so we must be in that position to follow Him. Not only is it a position, but it is a direction. All right? The Christian walk is a direction, and it is directed by the Lord. You'll find in Psalm 37, verse 23, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Let me just turn this down just a little bit more. And he delighteth in his way. So the Christian walk is a direction. In Psalm 40, verse number 2, one of my favorite Psalms, David says, He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and here's the direction, and established my goings. So he basically said God showed me or pointed me or even positioned me in the direction that I should go. So the Christian walk is a position, it's a direction. And then yesterday we talked about it's a conversation. And so while we walk with God, we are able to share with God our hearts. We are able to share with God our hurts and really those emergency, urgency needs that we have. We can share with Him as we walk with Him. And even you can share with the Lord those personal needs, those personal wants. There's nothing wrong with a want, okay? There's nothing wrong with wanting something. Sometimes we think, well, that's bad. We should not want anything. We should just ask and whatever God gives us, that's what we'll take. No, you know how many times Jesus asked for things? Okay, he wanted pots full of water there at the marriage of Cana, did he not? So I mean, there's some things that we can ask God. The things that we want now are they, if they're in line with God and in line with His will, He'll give them to us, and if not, He'll change our wants. And so we have a conversation in our walk with God. So there's a position, there's a direction, and there's a conversation. But I think here's the key that needs to be really embedded in our life, and that is the Christian walk is a decision. It is a decision. And man has a free will. All right, God allows us to make a choice. He allows us to make a choice every day and several choices throughout the day. But the choice that we have, and I think primarily that we ought to consider every day when we begin our day, is the choice to follow God. Now, we can either follow Him or we can go a different direction. That's pretty well. There's no middle ground with that, and so I can either follow God, or I can decide today I'm not going to follow God. Some say, well, I began to follow God in the morning, but then things throughout the day just changed it. Well, here's what happens, and without a doubt, our decisions many times are based on emotions. All right. When I talk about the decision to follow God or to walk with God, it is not a decision based on emotion. It's based on truth. It's based on Scripture. It's based on His desire for us to follow Him. Here is, good emotions sometimes, they can lead to good decisions, but impulsive decisions can lead to some impossible regrets. You ever do that? You ever buy something, ever do something, and then you think, well, I wish I wish I didn't do it. I wish I would have waited. I wish I wouldn't have done that right away. So sometimes even though it was a good emotion or a good feeling, it can lead to an impulse and then also regrets. So when sometimes we make decisions based on hurtful emotions, and at times it'll bring that actions of from others or hurt from others, and our emotions can drive our decisions on following God. Well, I've been hurt by the church, or I've been hurt by the pastor, so therefore I won't follow God. Is that our attitude? Most generally, that's the attitude of many churchgoers, so-called Christians that love the Lord. Well, I was hurt, or I was offended, and so therefore I'm not going to follow God. I'm not going to go to church anymore. I'm done. Well, that's silly, isn't it not? That's just silly. All right, we're all going to get hurt by somebody, and by the way, you're always going to hurt someone, and we have to be careful about that, no doubt. But I don't want to make my decision on whether to follow God based on me being hurt by somebody else, or and even those actions. I can hurt others, and by the way, you'll even hurt Christ when we say I'm just not going to follow Him anymore. We quench the Spirit. We stifle the work of the Spirit in our life. So therefore, no matter how our feeling is, and no matter what has transpired in your life or in my life, and no matter who hurt who, all right? This is not an argument. This is not a debate. This is not some kind of the courtroom setting where I'm going to win the case. No, listen, let's just follow Christ. Okay, let's just follow Him. Let's walk with Him, and we have a decision to make, and we have a decision to make to follow to God and walk with God, or not to walk with God. And don't base it on circumstances and decisions, or impulsive decision or feelings. Don't base it upon that. It is a decision to do it or not. I've been getting a letter, and Brother Ngoro, please forgive me for doing this, but I've been kind of conversing with a fella, man that loves the Lord and is trying so hard to serve the Lord. And he writes to me. He comments every now and then, and he has given me an email. And I want to read this to each one of you today. I found it very fitting for today's challenge and for today's devotion. He says, Pastor Greg, in our native language, and I had made reference that our son had they had their first child, him and his wife, and they named her Amelia Rose, and he said, in our native language, our tribe, the Lao, we'd name your granddaughter Acheng. I believe that's how it's pronounced. And Brother Ngoro, again, I may mess up on some of these, but he says we're going to name your granddaughter Acheng, meaning brightness or sunny. Because of the time that she came in the just before noon, and so what a joy. He says my daughter's name is Kinyi, and meaning morning, and he said my wife is McKenna, joy. That's what that name means, and it may be pronounced McKenya, but joy. And he said mine seems to be the opposite of all good ones. He says Angoro means desert or a vast dry area. And then he says this, I think it's very interesting. He said, when I was born, my mom threw me, or did away with me, to die in a dry, sunny, hot place without any clothes on, but was rescued by an old sickly lady who later passed on after 2 days. After inquiries, I was returned to my mom, who was too brutal to me, but I want you to understand this, but now we are the best of friends. He had a life that we would probably say was detrimental. He's not going to turn out. He's a lost cause. I mean, look at the home life. Look at what's taking place. But God intervened, and then he allowed God to intervene. He said, Pastor Greg, I want to serve God, only God. You know what he did? He made a decision to walk with him. He made a decision to allow God to direct him, to be behind him, and he wants to follow God. And he said, I may not have material gain on earth, but in heaven I'm among the richest. He says, thank you for the ongoing devotions. I need them, especially now. That really puts our perspective in order, does it not? And we become very fickle Christians, very fickle in emotion, very fickle in our decisions. We become as a sailboat in the wind, and we are just tossed about, and we become very unstable. You need to decide today to walk with God. You need to decide today to let him lead you, and you need to decide today. And I made it a point in my Christian life, in my Christian walk, I will not allow different scenarios, different individuals, different situations in my life to dictate my walk with Christ, my walk with God. I'm going to walk with God, whether I'm a pastor or whether I'm not a pastor. I'm going to walk with God. I'm going to walk with God. I was a welder for a number of years, 15 years or so, 16 years. I walked with God. I wanted to please him. There's a hymn that many of you sing, I have decided to follow Jesus. You know, that hymn was based on the last words of a Garo man. He was from the tribe of Mekaleya, I believe is how you pronounce it. And his name, his last name was Noxon. And he was converted. He got saved and was converted into Christianity in the middle part of the 19th century. And this was done through the efforts of an American Baptist missionary that was there in his country. And he and his family had gotten saved. And it is said that the several verses, he was reciting several verses from the 12th chapter of John during the time when his place was raided and during great persecution, and he was reciting these verses as he and his family were being murdered for the cause of Christ. And these words were based off of this particular time. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. You see, that's a decision. So make a decision today. Would you do that? Decide to walk with God. Decide to follow God. Decide to let him lead you in your life. How needful that is. Hey, I hope this is a blessing to you, thought-provoking, soul-stirring, however you want to describe it. I hope that you listen and don't leave the same way. And you ought to think about, Lord, am I following you like I should? Do I allow emotions to dictate my willingness to follow you? Do I allow others and the hurt and being offended, do I allow that to dictate how I follow you? It should not. We ought to stay steadfast, as Paul said, and let's follow the Lord, all right? Hey, this is Greg Steinke, the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church. Come by and visit with us at our church house at 1045 Monroe Concord Road here in Troy, Ohio. Love to have you come by, check us out, and be with us and part of the family. And looking forward to this weekend. Sunday night, we're out of the box a little bit. We're going to have a campfire meeting on the side of the church, and just going to sit around and sing some songs. I'm going to try to get my guitar out and get somebody else to play their guitar guitar because I can't play that well. But we're going to sing some songs and roast hot dogs and just have a good old time and have a time of devotion as well. And that's at 5 o'clock if you'd like to come out and join us. But our morning service is at 10:30 and the Sunday school is at 9:30. But come by and visit with us if you would. And if you have questions concerning the Bible, maybe something, a concern or a prayer that you'd like to let me be involved in, email me at pastor@calvarytroy.com. Love to talk with you. All right. Hey, watch, like, share these. Look on our Facebook. Look on our YouTube. You can see all of our messages and our services, and help you decide if this is the place where God would have you to come. All right. Well, Lord bless you today, and again, I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Be in your place on Sunday, and either I hope to see you here at the church or see you online. Lord bless you.